Hello, everybody. It's the NHL Pearlo Wisdom Show. And you can't see me. Look at it, you can't see me.
Ooh.
What's going Look,
Really?
what's going on? I can see. That is weird. Can you hear me?
Wow, I
If
can't
you
see
go
you.
on OBS, I'm there. If you go on the stream, I'm not there. That
Yeah, that's crazy. So on your screen you can see
if I
yourself,
go
but
to if I go to
wow.
OBS, I'm there.
Huh.
What is going
Wow,
on?
that's insane.
This thing never. Why does this stuff only happen to me? Does it only happen to me or what? Let me turn it on and off again.
It happens to everyone, but I think it just
How
happens
about
to you
now? Can you
more.
see me now? Maybe I'll redo the
Hang on.
source.
I'm just a little behind, but
Maybe I'll take out the source and then add it back in again.
maybe that's what I would do.
Okay, there we go, guys.
And you're sort of echoing as well.
Okay, mixer. Maybe I got my audio.
Oh, how's everyone doing? Won't add your face like at all? Huh. That's crazy.
Can you see? Can you?
Yeah, and they can't hear you either.
Now they can't hear me, no, because I now they might be able to once I turn the source on. Can you see me though? I just I
I
just
don't
opened up
think so.
another source.
Oh yeah, I can see
Woo!
you. I
There
see
we
you.
go. Jeez. I don't know. Weird, weird,
Finally.
weird. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that, guys.
Oh,
What? Everything's good.
ew. I was just about to say Bill was already asking about the Bill
Yeah,
or the Bill. Bill was asking about the
yeah,
Dave Hackstall
yeah.
hiring
And we
for
were already just
Kraken there.
talking about it before
Um,
this, of course. So hey,
hmm
Tavandra, how you doing? Let's say hi to everybody. I'm on fire now that the money is gone. Oh, dogs, dogs, dogs this round. Okay, cool. Yeah, so Hackstall, we'll just talk about what we were already talking about. I know a lot of Philadelphia Flyers fans are. See, this is a thing, right? I'll mention this and you can talk about it afterwards, okay? Um, so a lot of times, like, just because a coach didn't do well for your team doesn't mean the coach was bad. It could mean the team was bad.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, it could be the team that is bad. And that's what I was even saying
Yeah.
about Philly. I'm like looking at the past teams, I'm like, there's no defense here and there's no goaltenders. How are you supposed to have a team or have a coach like Hextall coach a team where it's Steve Mason and then the next year it's Brian Elliott? And then for half of the year it's Michael Nerworth coming in. It's like, how are you supposed to coach a team when you don't even have a good goalie? No, nowhere even near a starting goalie. And even then, like that Philly team at that time with when Hextall was coming there, that was his first ever head coaching job. And I don't think it was the job for him to take at that
Yeah.
point of time with a lot of the veterans that they had and in also the mix of younger players. It was just a bad mix for Hextall.
Yeah.
But I think this team going into Seattle will work so much because he might be able to entice some players that played on the North Dakota team with him. I was hearing TJ Oshie used to play there in North Dakota alongside of him. There's tons of players that have played with Hacksaw that could possibly come in from that North Dakota program. TJ Oshie is one of them who could possibly be available in the
That's
expansion draft as
interesting. I
well.
never even thought about that. Absolutely. If you think you can, I mean, it's your first coach, right? How long does the first coach last, anyways? Like he usually
Three
about
years.
3 years, especially in an expansion team. But I mean, when
Hmm.
Hacksaw went to Philadelphia, he had a resume of people that said this man is brilliant. He's an absolute genius. So he hadn't had experience though, and I agree. He was a genius as a college coach. These are kids. He's never worked with
Hmm.
veterans making millions of dollars and all that kind of stuff like that. That all comes with experience. I mean, he's got to be a super
Yep.
genius guy because usually guys they got you got to be an assistant before you can go into the coaching ranks, right? So my thought is he's like, well,
Yep.
why would I go there be an assistant when I'm making more money running this in Dakota, right? I got a family to take care of and all that stuff like that. I don't want to go be an assistant for the rest of my career. If you need me, I believe in myself. You make me a head coach or nothing. You,
I think I think he was an assistant coach there after the Flyers. He was an assistant for 2 years with the Toronto Maple Leafs
after he
there
left the
actually.
Flyers, right? Yeah, but he already
Yeah,
made
yeah,
like
yeah.
probably really good money for the Flyers.
Oh,
So
tons of
so
money with Philly.
he's
Oh
got
yeah, for
he's
four
got he
solid
did 4
years.
years in Philly, probably making 800 to a million a year or something like that. Just guessing. And he's got 4 million in the bank now. Then it's a little easier to open up the door at the little lady and say, I think I'll be assistant for a while, when you got 4 million in the bank, right? So, um, but starting out, coaches in college they don't do too bad. You know, he didn't want to go take a pay
No,
cut to go
no, we've
somewhere
seen it
else.
with Quinn. I think Haxel has done it great. He went in Philly. He had some decent years. He made it to the playoffs twice with that team. The last year wasn't great, but that was because they had no goaltenders near that last year there, and the team just did not look very well. I think, going off and being an assistant there with the Toronto Maple Leafs for a little bit helped him a little bit. We'll have to see what happens. I mean, we haven't even really seen the Seattle Kraken team yet. They haven't even picked a team. So we'll have to see, what type of system he goes after. Looking over the analytics, he wasn't too bad on his PK. Some years he was better, some years he was just eh. But offensively, I think he could bring offense out of some people. Claude Giroux had some really good seasons under Hacksaw. People seem to forget how good Giroux was when Hacksaw was their coach. Shane Gossesbear had some career seasons. He put up that 1 year where he had 64 points when he was the head coach of that team. So I think Seattle fans, they should be their first coaches. I know a lot of people were talking about Rick Tocchet, but I don't think Rick Tocchet was going to be a good fit for Seattle. Unless they were going to be trying to push to be a playoff team, and they knew that they were going to be able to pick up the players that they could pick up to make it in, then they would have probably went after Talkett. But I think they seen something out of Hackstall that maybe none of us seen.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Lauren says he heard that the youth regressed under Hackstall. I didn't necessarily.
But Shane
I didn't.
Gossesbear went
Yeah,
up. He's been going down
since
since Hackstall
I didn't.
left. So I don't think there's been going
They didn't really
down.
have all. Who was young at the time when he was there? Like
I think it was like Travis Konecki. He started, I
Konechny,
think, there
Konechny,
when
Konechny did
Hackstall
fine.
was,
He's actually
yeah,
regressed
Konechny.
last year under
Yeah.
AV. So yeah, I'm not sure about that. Somebody asked what kind of a system did he play. That was the one thing I find interesting. He seems to have a lot in his bag. He tried everything there. They played a really defensive system. They played a
Hmm.
they tried to focus when he had Goss to spear. He tried to play almost like how Tampa Bay does, with open up the neutral zone for long passes because they have the defenseman to do that. He tried that. He tried all kinds of stuff there, and most of it fell for naught. And most of that was because they didn't have a goaltender. That's the other thing. How do you
Hmm.
know if you have a good coach if you don't have a goaltender? So I don't know. I'm going to give him. I'm going to give him. I'm not saying it was a bad move, and a lot of it has to. Sometimes I look at moves and it's just because of who's doing it. Ron Francis is a very, very intelligent hockey mind, so I'm going to give him rope on his decision for sure.
Also, to know, Hackstall helped Patrick in his rookie year have a tremendous season in his rookie season as well. 30 points in 73 games in that first season in the NHL with Nolan Patrick when Hackstall was there. He did pretty good with the younger players. I don't think it's going to be too bad when he goes off to Seattle. I think it's going to be good. And, firings are ugly. We've seen it with Gallant before, but I don't think the Hackstall one was as bad as the Gallant one with Vegas. Or I think it was that Florida or Vegas that they fired him
Oh, is
at the
that what it
hotel.
was? They fired him. Like I didn't. I don't even remember what he got, how he got fired. So
I can't remember. I can't
I
remember
think
how Gallant got fired, but I do remember
Gallant
he got
got
like
fired on the
fired and then
bus
got
to the
like
hotel. It was by phone. Yeah, it
I
was
think
like by
so.
phone. Hey, buddy, that's it. We're done. Sorry.
Oh,
Clean out your clean out your
get out of
locker.
here.
We're moving on. Uh, and that's a little, I don't know, but Gallant never said anything bad about it. Gallant said it's just, I'd rather Gallant kind of said I'd rather it be
It's
that way.
business.
I'd rather just say, we're going to try something different here, buddy. It's all right. You've been great, but we're going to move on because that's just what coaching is about. It's almost like he said, I'd rather them not over dramatize it and let me move on, and we move on. Everything's cool, right? Because you're just being honest. The truth is, a
Hmm.
coach isn't there forever unless you're not even Barry. I mean, Barry Trotz might be the best coach of all time by the end of his career, or close to it, and he's been fired what two times? No, once, just Nashville so far, because he left
Yeah.
oh
No,
no, he
no, no,
got
no,
fired
no.
in Washington. Did he get fired? Did he
Yeah, because
say
he
he
was
wanted to go?
Nashville.
I'm still not sure about that.
I think it was a contract. He didn't sign with Washington because I think Washington didn't want to offer him the money because he would have been really expensive. So New York paid the money for Barry Trotz, the high the lump sum of money. Barry Trotz, I don't know if he got fired from Nashville or if he just left. I think that was where he got fired because he did coach there for a long time in Nashville. I think almost the same time as Poli was GM there. So Barry Trotz, without a doubt, will probably go down as one of the best coaches in NHL
One of for
history.
sure,
Without
but
a doubt,
he
he's
may
been
one of for
been
sure, but he may
amazing.
even go down as the best. Like who depends on how long he coaches for.
Hmm.
Like what he's doing with that Islanders team is just. Oh. Anyways, so Bill T said, "Do you think Rick Tocchet would be good for Edmonton?" I do. Sure, why not? Except
Um,
he's a. I
I,
don't
I
know
I
if
don't
he's as
mind that.
defensive as he was in Arizona, or if he's just working with what he's got. Right? Like I don't know
Well,
if he would have
he
had that same system.
maybe he's working with what he's got, but I don't know. Rick Tocchet, defensive. Maybe that's what we need is more of a defensive coach, right? But Dave Tippett was supposed to kind of be that type of guy, and it hasn't really worked out. So I don't know. Rick Tocchet could work. I could see working as the Edmonton Oilers head coach, but I don't see Tippett leaving for another 2 years
Okay.
at least. I see Holland keeping
Okay,
Tippett for a
Lauren
while.
reminded me. Yeah, I agree. I think they're good buddies, and he's gonna be there for a bit. Twitter broke out saying he was fired that night, and then Philly said that he was safe,
Hmm.
and then the next morning he got fired.
See, I don't know why all these Philly fans are like on Hackstall's back and calling him a bum when Philly legit did
Yeah,
this. It's like,
you know what
what?
sounds like happened here? It sounds like somebody said somebody call Hack and tell him he's fired, right? And then somehow it got out
Yeah.
before somebody actually did that. Then somebody tried to get a hold of him and couldn't. And then,
Hmm.
so it was like somehow there was a leak that got botched, which I suppose you shouldn't judge that in an organization, but you almost, just instinctively will judge that in an organization that has been like a kind of a clown show the last little while. So,
Mm-hmm. Also, Pearlo Hackstall did get paid. He got paid
oh
$2 million a
my
year
gosh,
for going
he
there to
got
Philly.
2 mil.
So he got actually paid,
Wow.
yeah, 2 million a year. So he was actually had a 5-year contract. It was valued at $10 million. So I don't know if he actually made that $10 million, but he probably made near to it. That's insane. So he did. He was
Yeah.
rolling in the money
That's
with
so yeah, he
Philly.
got 8
My
mil. So
lord.
he can go be an assistant coach now. And he feels comfortable. His family's pretty well taken care of, so he can go be an assistant coach somewhere until he goes somewhere else. So, which
Mm-hmm.
again, like I said, he came with the genius tag on him. So they
Yeah.
went with it. Whatever reason, you can say what you want. I want it, if somebody has a genius tag on him like that, I'm not going to throw him out. I'm going to say, well, could
Mm-hmm.
be the organization, could be a lot of things. Sometimes you can't, like, coaching is one of the hardest gigs ever because you're always blamed for everything. When the team is doing well, it's the coach. When it's not, when the team's doing well, it's not the coach usually. And if it's not doing
Mm-hmm.
well, everybody wants the coach gone. So it's hard to say. He came with the
Yeah.
genius tag to begin with. I don't think the Philadelphia Flyers ownership or whatever were just throwing $2 million for nothing. There had to be a lot of people saying this guy's amazing. So we'll see what he does in Seattle, especially with Ron Francis looks in his background and talks to the people and says that. My thinking is he's going to turn out really good. A guy we had who is now in Anaheim, Eakins, is another one. He's a genius, man. The
Mm-hmm.
guy I didn't like when we. Oh, I love
Oh, I
Dallas
love
Eakins. When he got
Dallas.
fired, I was like, "Are you
I love
freaking
Dallas.
crazy? What are you talking about? He's doing fantastic with this team."
Same with Ralph Kruger.
Yeah,
Same with Ralph Kruger. There was a lot of like when the Oilers were going through the decade of hell. I was always wondering, I'm like, why did we fire this coach? I'm like, I know we did bad, but the team on the ice is so bad. How is he supposed to coach this team? I remember Dallas Eakins was so good with the
yep,
Toronto Marlies,
yep.
so good with the Toronto Marlies. It came to the Edmonton, and I didn't mind his coaching. I thought
I
he wasn't that bad. And
I
then the
love him.
next year we fire him and we
Well,
put him on the ground.
one
I'm
of the
like,
reasons why they
what? I didn't
one of the reasons why they
understand.
hired him. Sorry about that.
Sorry, go ahead.
I heard this. I don't know if it's true, so don't like say Perlo said. Not like anybody would listen to you
Hmm.
anyways, but um, let's. One of the reasons why he was hired was because Edmonton was one of the most poorly conditioned teams in the league. They didn't pay attention to
Hmm.
conditioning. They just let guys do whatever they're going to do for conditioning and you come to the rink. And it's just not that isn't the way it is anymore in the league anymore, right? So uh, he is all about conditioning, and he pretty much forces his guys to do it. If he doesn't see that you are staying in top athlete condition, you don't play. You know, and
Hmm.
apparently this rubs some people the wrong way as far as players are concerned. Instead of going, okay, well, let's buy into his thing and trading away whatever the players were, or talking to them and saying, look, this is the way it is. You don't like it? You can leave when you can leave, or we'll look to move you, but we're doing it like this. They fire him instead. His
Hmm.
systems were excellent. His X's and O's were on point. I love the way the Edmonton Oilers played when they were with them. We didn't have enough talent, but I liked the way we played.
Hmm.
And um, to me, it was just a ridiculous firing, and we already know about the management at that time and everything like that that's been going on with this organization for a long time.
And,
Dropped the
and
ball
and
big
and that's
time.
the thing that's kind of funny. It's kind of funny, like you talk about most of these coaches from like 9 to about 14 of all the former Oilers coaches during the rebuilding time. A lot of them actually could have been like are almost coaches being candidates for other jobs, like Todd Nelson, Dallas Eakins, and in Anaheim, Ralph Kruger, of course, had a bad time there in Buffalo, but all these coaches did have, very strong years with the Oilers, but for some reason just got fired. Like Todd Nelson is one of the guys that I was like, what? Why fire him? And I mean, we did bring in Tom McClellan, but Todd Nelson wasn't that bad when you're having so many coaches coming in and out. It's like a revolving door. I think, having stability in that head coaching job is good. It builds chemistry with everyone on your team, and you know what that coach is bringing. And I think with getting Hackstall there with Seattle, and I mean, I'm not a big fan of Tippett, but having Tippett in that team for a long time to come will make the team better in the long run. Maybe if not, but
Yeah.
sometimes it does.
Yeah. Give Tippett a little more time. One thing about Tippett is he is not. He is very unorthodox when it comes to coaching, and his whole focus is working on. His main focus is working on belief in the team, in a team. So he does things that look like,
Yeah.
okay, that guy's not playing well. Why are you playing him? Because he doesn't want to crush his spirit. He's going to keep on doing it, and whatever. There's a lot of reasons. He's a different kind of dude. He did bring some Arizona teams to the playoffs that had no business being there. So we'll see how it turns out. I think more right now, it's for Edmonton. It's simply team depth. We need people that can play
Yeah.
especially in the playoffs, that play more of a warrior type system, like we see in Montreal, and can play. And that's the two things. The guys that we have that can play like that can't play, and we don't have enough guys like that that even can't play. So we got that's a bad combination in Edmonton. But we got lots of cap space, and I'm going to give Holland. I'll
Mm-hmm.
see what Holland does this year, because this is an absolutely enormous year. If if there's a if
Oh, you
if
can't
there's a
lose this
drop the
offseason.
ball here now, I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
It's
I
like a
think I'm going
Shirelli
to go
2.0
postal at
when
Rexall.
he traded away Taylor Hall. Unless he does what Shirelli did, where he traded away Taylor Hall for Adam Larson and then picked up Milan Lucic in free agency. I mean, we could have that type of a summer, and I'm hoping we don't. I'm hoping Holland plays this offseason
Yeah.
really smart and pick up players that will help us in the long run, and especially going into next year, because this Edmonton Oilers team, you added a few more pieces. This could be a very dominant team here in the next little bit. If you add those next few pieces, especially with McDavid on that team, you could almost go anywhere with
Yeah.
that guy on your team. You just have to build in that depth, and I think that's the biggest thing this year for the Oilers is building up that depth and giving it a little bit more of a warrior attitude, right? You need to be ready for the playoffs. In the past 2 years, we weren't. So we got to make that depth a lot
Yeah.
better going into next year.
Okay. Well, we should probably look at the game last night. We'll take a look at that. We'll take a look at the people's picks for
Mm-hmm.
that game. Dude, yeah, we've been kind of doing the we've been kind of doing the who scores the first goal stuff and stuff like that too. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
I can get rid of a whole bunch of things here, and I'll bring up the.
3-2 for the Islanders in overtime.
Wow,
What a game!
crazy. So
Oh my lord! And then also Kucherov going down with an
yep,
injury as well. That was
and,
oh,
and
Mayfield. Mayfield, what a beast.
it actually now. See, okay, I wanted to get into this. We'll get into it as we get into it. We'll get into the Kucherov thing first. The game itself, Tampa Bay surprisingly started playing back on their heels. Like, you wouldn't think that they would get nervous and stuff like that. But and don't get me wrong, the Islanders played them very tough all the way through the game. They never gave up, and they certainly deserved to win that game, no doubt about it. But I'm just really surprised by what these veteran teams, especially ones that have already been there, won the cup, like Vegas did against Montreal, and now the Lightning, you know, go into or go back on their heels when they're up 2-0, and I'm like, what? When does the Lightning do this? Why is this all of us? That's a weird thing about hockey, right? It's like teams
Mm-hmm.
that you would never think that would do something like that ever, like anymore. Because you think with what happened with Columbus, when they lost that series. That's exactly what happened there too, right? Every time they got scared, they went back on their heels and basically let the opposition just come in anytime they wanted. And that's what they did with the Islanders last night. And they do it again. But that's the amazing thing about sport. It's a mental game, and even if you think you got it figured, you do the same crap you did before all over again. But that
Mm-hmm.
hit on Kucherov, it looks like it was his shoulder, and it wasn't his shoulder that he had surgery on, right?
No, I was actually talking with Steely. If you guys, we just recorded a sports desk, which should be coming out later on
Oh,
today
cool.
on his channel. We were talking about the cross check from Mayfield onto Kucherov, and I was talking about the region that cross check came in because the cross check was kind of near his hip, where he had that hip surgery, which was
Hip surgery.
why he missed throughout the
Oh, it
season.
was a hip
And in
surgery.
that
Okay.
hit, yeah, so you see in Mayfield practically go down and nail him right in the back. And now, of course, your chest protector is legit very thin. And when you take a cross check, you're not going to feel it, but you're still going to feel it. And it looked like in the area that Kucherov got cross checked, most likely wouldn't have been covered by your chest protector. And and also you don't get that much back protection anyways from your chest protector. It's mostly for your front area. But that cross check from the back is what I think injured Kucherov the most was that cross check to the back that Mayfield gave him. And it was not even called a penalty. And it was right in front of Chris Lee, which is the guy that we keep talking about over and over and over again. This Chris Lee guy not calling anything in the playoffs. And I don't understand why the NHL keeps using this guy that seems to not be working right now. He really messed up in that Montreal Vegas game, and then there was a couple missed calls in this game where I felt like that could have been a penalty call. This could have been up where the players don't know what's a penalty or not.
Yeah. The the reason why apparently is that they've had they have injuries too. Apparently, the referees have had crap loads of injuries this year.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Oh wow.
and it's almost like they don't have anybody in the to do it. So that's and this is like I think Chris Lee. This is his first time doing playoffs. So this is like his. I think he's dropping the ball huge. Like he's overwhelmed by, this is my big shot, and
I think
he's
he
got it in
is.
his head where
He
this
looks.
is my big shot and everything. And then once he blows a call or two, you know how it is, right? Once once you put your mind on the negative, thinking the very thing you don't want to do is what you're going to do because that's all you're thinking about. Okay, don't make a bad call. Don't make a bad call. There you go. It's like
Yeah,
don't trip, don't trip,
his
don't trip.
playoff he's been in the NHL since 2001, Chris Lee. His first playoff game was in 2009, and he's only refed about 86 playoff games since February 1st. So there's probably been a bunch of games added, but he's coached not very many playoff games compared to regular season. He's coached 1,171 games in the regular season and only 86 in the playoffs. So he hasn't done too much coaching in the playoffs, and maybe that lack of inexperience is maybe hindering him a little bit.
Roughing on the roughing. Yeah. Okay. So first of all, the game was 3-2, right, for the Islanders. Hockey News reports
Yeah.
had 2-0. It was the closest. Bill was 6-3, had the Islanders, and everybody else had the Lightning. Uh, for the first goal, who scored the first goal? It was Point, right?
Yep. Brain point.
JP
Yep.
gets 10 points for hitting the point. JP
Ooh.
was the only one that picked Point. The game before, everybody picked Point, and this was the first time that pretty much like four people, and JP was the only one to pick Point, I believe. Pajot, Palat, I had Palat, having yeah, Point. So, anyways, Lauren says it's karma that he's out because of whatever happened. But on the same note, it was his hip, right? And he
I.
had a hip surgery. This
hmm
might actually, if they actually win here, this might actually Um,
And this is
this
not
this might
karma for
actually
Tampa as well.
justify the surgery
Hmm.
now. If he's out with the surgery with the hip injury on the same hip he had surgery on, it would seem like there was justification for the surgery, in which case it would actually kind of if they happen to win now. But I don't know. It's going to
I,
be one heck of a tough win against. Uh,
it's not even karma. I know that everyone looks at Tampa Bay as a bad. Oh, they're big bad. They're using like almost $100 million in cap. Well, that's because the NHL wrote that into
yeah,
the rule book that there's no salary cap in the playoffs. And Brisbois is like, oh, I have a plan here. We could sign a bunch of players and leave Kucherov on the LTIR and just wait until the
yeah,
playoffs.
sure.
It's just Tampa Bay using the
But
system.
that's
I don't see him as like
but
a big
but the
bad thing.
caveat here is that it all depends on did he really need the surgery or not, and did you just cheat your
No.
ass off right there,
Hmm.
right? That's the thing.
That is the
I have
biggest
a
thing.
feeling that he
Hmm.
didn't need the surgery at that time, but like it just seems too much of a coincidence to me, especially when
Hmm.
it happened. It's not like Kucherov said, I need surgery. It was like halfway through the season, after they tried to get rid of Johnson, after they tried to do all this stuff to get cap room, then all of a sudden Kucherov needs surgery. It just seemed a little odd to me, right? But
Oh yeah, it was odd for everyone, even odd for me. I knew that Kucherov was either healthy or he was just going and getting a little surgery to make himself feel a little bit better. Who knows? But the hit that he got looked like it was pretty serious, and he did not look very good after what happened. And I don't know if it was his hip or if it was something else. We'll probably never know until the offseason hits. But I just think that it was smart for Tampa Bay to do that the way that they did. They played very smart to the cap, and yeah, you might look at it as karma, but they took advantage of the rule book, and NHL is sure to fix it now going into
yeah,
next year. I've been hearing the CBA is being changed, so it's the NHL's fault on this one, right? This could have been, the salary cap could have been in the playoffs. It could have easily been, but it's not. So Tampa Bay took a full advantage of it. And what I was also hearing is Andres Lee as well is kind of back. Almost. He's almost back. I don't know if he's going to be back for Game 7 or not against Tampa Bay, but almost.
who's that? Sorry.
Andres Lee. He was
Oh,
the
he
guy
could be
that for
back.
Tampa or
Wow,
not Tampa
that
Bay
would be
for New
something.
York. I don't know if he's going to be back. I heard he was skating again.
Hmm.
So maybe if they make it to the Stanley Cup, maybe you might see Andres Lee get back, which would send the Islanders over the cap space.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like I said. My thing isn't the fact that the cap space is there. It's just whether like the fact
Hmm.
that they decided that he decided he needed surgery and
Yeah.
all that stuff like that. That seems like circumventing the cap to me, and there's no way you can prove
Hmm.
it. No,
No, and
I
that's
think
the
there's other
problem.
organizations that wouldn't circumvent the cap like that simply because they know it. You're always going to have an asterisk around your name. I never want to have an asterisk. If I win the cup, I
Hmm.
don't want an asterisk beside this. And it's not going to be in the book, but it's going to be in the minds of people. I don't want an asterisk in the minds
Hmm.
of people that we won the cup, but there's that whole thing that happened with Kucherov. Why couldn't he have not already like how come it took so long to know that he needed surgery when he needed a surgery like that? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they thought they were going to rehab it and then realized it's just not going to work. And it just all lined up and the stars lined up the way it did, and that's it.
And
It's
that's the thing.
possible.
That's the thing too. That is possible, right? He could have been doing some therapy, maybe trying to work it out. But then, like you got to be thinking, like Chris Paul probably took a look at the team and he's like, "We're good enough to make it into the playoffs." Kucherov, like you could
Oh
just take
yeah.
your surgery,
Oh
get
for sure.
healthy, and then just come back
Oh
for the
for sure.
playoffs, right? It could have been that too, or it could have totally been like, "All right, Kucherov, we're just gonna fake your injury. You're gonna go do a little surgery to fix your little problem, and then you'll come back for the
Yeah.
playoffs. We'll pay you the $9.5 million this year, and you will have to play like at all, and then we'll win the cup, and then we'll go
Yeah.
back home." Right? Maybe that could have been the plan for Bruce Ball. We will never really know until later on it comes out on some
Yeah.
podcast, and it gets exposed that Kucherov wasn't actually injured that year or whatever it may be.
No.
But we definitely know that this will probably never happen again,
Yeah.
right? Once there is salary cap in the playoffs, we'll never really have this type of problem again. And this should have been fixed a long time ago. This should have never been a problem if NHL were to just make the salary cap a thing in
They
the
should have been able to
playoffs.
foresee that. Yeah, and but I'm sure
Yeah,
there was
like how do you not
I'm
see
sure there
that?
might have been reasons why they didn't, and I'm sure if you talk to them, they would seem very valid. But now they really got to take
I,
care of it because obviously people can circumvent the cap because you know as well as I do, it's their doctors, so you can get you're paying the doctor, right? So you know as well as I do, it's not difficult to get a doctor to say, hey, whatever. It
oh
can,
no,
it,
you can't just
not
be
all
like,
doctors, but you have certain, it can
no.
happen that you have doctors that say, there's, we need, Kucherov might need that surgery right now. And the doctor's like, well, we are not sure. Oh, I think you're really sure that we need that surgery right now. You know what I mean? That simple thing can happen like that. Because like you said, they didn't need him to make the
Mhm.
playoffs. But,
No,
but
they
what,
didn't. They had a good enough team
oh
to
yeah,
make
for
it.
sure. That's what's sick about their team. Uh,
Hmm.
a way to fix the problem is if a player cannot play more than 2 games after coming off the long-term injury list, they cannot be allowed to play in the playoffs. There you go. So,
Yeah, that would be a way to fix it. Now, the problem is like that would fix the LTIR issue with using like a lot of big players, but it might just be like a short-term injury like Lee, where he got injured in the season and now he might be able to come back. But I think just taking out the salary cap in general would fix that because if or putting in the salary cap in the playoffs, it's just like Lee coming back for the New York Islanders. They would basically have to put someone that's $7 million on the LTIR again just to get Lee back into the squad if there was a salary cap. So even if someone was on the LTIR, they wouldn't be able to play,
right.
right? And that is there's two ways of fixing it: putting it in a salary cap or doing what Lauren just said.
Yeah.
You could do either
Right.
way.
So, anyways, that being said, let's. Mayfield had one heck of a game last night, regardless. Like, he was hitting everyone.
Oh, he did.
That was probably the game of his life last night, wasn't it? Like, that was insane.
Yeah, he played 22 minutes. He was all over the place. I was actually surprised about how good Mayfield
Oh,
was
yeah.
throughout that
Oh,
game.
he was like a
Like he didn't
Norris
have that bad
Trophy
of a night.
candidate last night. It was insane. He was everywhere. That shot up in the top corner, like where did that come from? Holy crap!
Beautiful pass by
Yeah,
Barzell.
it
Oh
was a
my
beautiful
lord.
pass.
And also, we can't even forget about talking about Matthew
What?
Barzell because he was also amazing throughout that entire night as well. It was like almost watching McDavid out there, because you're watching all these Tampa Bay players just when they see Barzell have the puck, they just get glued and they send like five guys after him. And it leaves everyone else open. It is amazing to see how good Barzell. He should almost be getting more minutes on this team with how well he played last night because he set up Mayfield for a beautiful goal and also Eberle, who had a beautiful backhand shot to start everything off for the Islanders in that massive comeback victory.
Yeah, no, yeah, yeah. It was a lot of players' best games last night, and that's yeah. And when they needed
Mm-hmm.
them the most, they were there playing, and that's what the Islanders seem to be all about. And again, um, you know, I wonder if the players sometimes go, "Oh, here we go with Trotz again," because you just can't help but talk about how amazing of a guy, how amazing of a coach he is. That he seems like all his teams at the moments that need it the most, the guys get whether you want to say he gets the best of the guys. It's too much of a coincidence that on the biggest games,
Mm-hmm.
the players he's coaching has their biggest nights on an all the time on a regular basis. That can't be a coincidence, right? Like that was
Like
an enormous
Noah
game.
Dobson had an amazing night.
Hmm.
Noah Dobson had an amazing night. Analytically, he was great offensively and defensively. Like their whole top six of Nelson, Bouvillier, Bailey, Barzell, Eberle, Komarov actually had a decent night. this entire team was doing really good, and the way that Trotz really just told this team to start stepping it up because it was a pretty even game between the two teams to start it off, and then he hit about the midway of that second period, and it just seemed to just skyrocket for the New York Islanders. They just started, you know, pushing to play. They started just shooting everything they possibly could, especially after that one goal from Eberle. That one goal from Eberle seemed to get the guys going, especially Barzell. He seemed to be super happy after Eberle scored that beautiful goal. And I mean, I can't stop like thinking about that Eberle goal. It was the beautiful backhand. And I can't even believe it went in the way that it did. Um, but the New York Islanders played great from the second half all the way to the ending. They did a really good job of maintaining the Tampa Bay Lightning, even when Tampa Bay started pushing back in the third. I thought New York did a really good job pushing a game seven, which is a must need. And also Nassau Coliseum was insane. Throwing beers on the ice after the game. Oh, it was like Bavulli said, it smelled like cigarettes in there for a
Yeah.
while until the beer started being started getting thrown in. It was
Well, those
amazing.
that Islanders crowd, there is okay. There might be louder crowds, not really. I mean, they're pretty loud, but there's more than that, man. That Long Island crowd is like almost like you feel like it's a gang. You know, it
It
almost
is.
fe-
It's like a
it's
cult.
exactly. It almost feels like there's a gang around you all the time. You can feel the energy through the television, and they're so knowledgeable too. The stuff that they cheer is
Yeah, like screaming at Stamkos with the FU Stamkos chants going around the arena. Like that was insane. I was hearing that on live television, like loud and clear. Every single word they were saying when they were chanting, I heard it. I was like, wow. I'm like surprised that they're not turning down the audience levels a little bit because they were saying some pretty vulgar stuff.
yeah, no, I was on Twitter. Uh, they were saying, oh, but I guess at the end, I guess we got to talk about that too. Um, uh, the Tampa Bay fans were saying, "Oh, that's really classy," saying "F you Stamkos" and all that kind of stuff like that. And I put on the and I put in my message, I was like, "Since when does hockey have anything to do with being classy, dude?" That's like we put
You guys won the Stanley Cup
we
last
put
year.
the
Like
we purposely put our sweaty palms in people's faces and shove it like that. And that what's classy about that? If you want class, go watch gymnastics or something. I don't know. Tennis. I love tennis. I love
yeah,
tennis, by the way.
like
But
I love
but
tennis too.
it's but this is hockey. We're not talking about class. The bad part and the really kind of unclassy thing, it's not even just about class, is apparently a bunch of people threw beer on the ice at the end of it and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I don't think they need to do that for sure because it definitely like the ice was a mess afterwards. Like I seen all the beer being spilled all over the ice, and I'm like, wait, like come on,
yeah,
like you got to make somebody else clean this up. You could have like chugged it or something or kept chanting, but whatever. I think it was cool. The Nassau Coliseum was just insane. Seeing what they did throughout the night was amazing, and definitely building up for a great game seven on Friday. I am super excited for this game on Friday.
yeah, me too. Okay, yeah. All that aside, I mean, especially with your own ice, right? That was in New York, so I mean, why are you throwing beer on your own ice at the end of a game? Like, how hammered are you? Obviously, very hammered. I'm sure they regret it today. I'm sure they
Obviously.
woke up today and went, "Did I throw beer
Oh,
on the?"
their voices are dead,
Yeah,
man. Their voices are probably dead from the amount of yelling that they were doing in that game was
I don't want
insane.
to judge them because I
Um
know all the stupid stuff I've been done
oh
when I'm
oh
not
yeah.
drunk. You wake up in the morning and go, "I didn't do that, did I?" Oh, or do you ever have those
Oh
times when you
no.
don't remember anything at all, and then about halfway through the day, your brain starts to wake up and you start remembering it, and you just like stop and go, "Oh no." Oh
Oh no, what was
no!
I doing?
And you've
Oh
already talked to some people that
man.
you did stupid stuff to, and you're wondering why they're acting so
Yeah, they're
weird.
like laughing at you, and you're like,
Oh,
"What, man? What did I
oh my
do?"
gosh. So yeah. Anyways, I'll forgive them, but geez, throwing beer on the. Okay, let's get to tonight's game. Now we got 15 minutes, and I'm sure everybody's had those
Hmm.
issues. So don't be too hard on them. You get that drunk, you never know what the heck you're gonna do. Okay, and they were smoking in the arena. I mean, that's
Yeah,
that's
I
when
know
you know
it's
you're
fun.
like absolutely. I don't smoke anymore, but I bet you if I don't drink anymore either. But if I ever did drink like that again, I would probably do that too. Like you're so out
Oh,
of it, you don't even
probably.
remember you're not supposed to smoke in the arena. You're just ah.
Ah, whatever.
They're probably the ones that threw their beer out on the freaking.
Where's the security guys at?
Yeah,
All right, we're good.
I don't even think
We're
they
good,
probably
guys.
didn't even do that. They probably don't even look like you're that drunk. You
No, the
don't.
security guards were probably like joining
Well, the
along with them,
security
like,
guard's
"Hey, I'll
probably
hold my
like, well,
beer."
there's nothing we can do. Like I said, it's like a freaking mob there. What are you gonna do? You're getting paid
It
minimum
is.
wage as a security guy. You're gonna go in and tap a guy on his shoulder. Excuse me, sir. I'm. Just get slaughtered, right? Anyways, I should have recorded that. I should have recorded that. We'll have to take that clip out. What time was that?
We will.
One.
I
So
think
right
it's like,
around
well,
140 or right around 40. We'll take that clip out and we'll post
yeah.
that.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
funny.
Okay.
Oh man,
Anyways,
yes.
the game, and if we got to
Montreal and
move on past
Vegas.
the break, we will, because this is going to be a huge game. We'll be talking about this game quite a bit.
Hmm.
Uh,
Well, especially with did you hear Laners starting in net
yeah,
for
might as well
Vegas?
start with that, right? Like, hey, you got to say it's anything but unorthodox. Maybe that's what they got to do here, because I'll tell you what, that
See,
last game in Montreal, uh, they, I have never, I've never seen Vegas look negative like that before. Like, Stone is complaining like a baby. Pacioretty, well, all of them, they look like children out there.
they're all are playing like a bunch of babies. Actually, Gallagher actually went by them and was like, "Well, like I seen like there's legit been posts from analysts saying how much Vegas is complaining about Montreal. It's insane how Montreal is just got into the minds of Vegas, especially Mark Stone. Mark Stone had one of the worst nights analytically. One of the
One of the
worst
worst games
nights.
I've ever seen him play, ever, in any capacity. And he looked like he was, it looked like somebody, I don't know how, it looked like somebody stole his favorite toy when he was 7. Like, seriously,
Yep.
right?
He wasn't even back checking.
No.
Even if he were, he was just like, whatever. I don't care. Like, you guys are pissing me off so much. Like, I don't care. And it really seems to be like that way with Mark Stone, which is weird because this guy is the guy for Vegas, right? This is the guy for Vegas. And if he doesn't get himself going, it's going to be rough. And I don't think switching up goalies, might help. I thought Robin Lehner should win in for the last game. I love Fleury, but he was not looking very good in the last game, and even the game before that, Fleury wasn't looking good in. Lehner looked good when Vegas
Yeah.
won, and I don't know why they didn't continue with him, which I thought was really weird.
Yeah, I thought it was
But
kind of odd, too.
Stone analytically has been pretty bad against the Montreal Canadiens. It just seems like the Canadiens have been bought into the system where let's shut down their top forwards. Let's see what they do if we shut down their top forwards. And it seems like Vegas can't do anything right now.
I have a theory, and I don't know if it's true, but when you see guys acting like the way Stone is, and Pacioretty and
Hmm.
Stone are like tight, right? They're super tight. Ever since Pacioretty got there, you can see them on the ice. They're like super tight.
Yeah.
Okay, Corey Perry, that dude will do anything and say anything to win a game. He does,
Not even just that.
what?
You got Gallagher, Anderson. You got so
Yeah,
many guys that will trash talk
yeah,
you.
but I don't think anybody will cut as deep as Perry. Like he will
Well,
get into
not
your
Perry.
children. Okay, if he found out your daughter had an abortion or something like that, I don't to bring it up. He
Mm-hmm.
would bring it up on the ice. Okay, he like
Jeez.
this is the kind of guy he is, and it looks like to me that's exactly what he did to Stone. I think he's got
Mm-hmm.
some personal stuff on Stone, and he's grinding it in on him, and Stone is it's affected him. He is. I
Seems
think
like it.
Stone is like to him it's way over the top, and I don't know. I don't know, but I've never seen Stone look like that before. I've never
I
seen
I I was also
Pacioretty maybe,
hearing
but Stone no.
I was also hearing a lot of stuff from Pierre McGuire. I think he was saying about Montreal Canadiens absolutely bashing into Pacioretty as well, which could be in the mental of Stone, like you were talking about Pacioretty and
Yeah,
Stone being very close
yeah,
together. Maybe because Pacioretty did leave Montreal on kind of a rough note. He wasn't getting along there with a lot of the players. It was kind of a rough ending. And it seems like the Montreal Canadiens, they have not forgot about Pacioretty, and they seem to just be bashing him every time they see him out on the ice. They seem to trash talk him. And I think Gallagher and all those guys, like you were saying with Perry, I think they are getting into the mental of Stone and Pacioretty because they know that those are the two big guys of the team. And I mean Carlson and them as well, but it seems like Deneau and those guys have been able to shut them down without even using their
yeah,
words. They just shut them down great
yeah,
defensively. And it's just amazing to see what Montreal has been able to do. You know, this team started off so hot and then they proved us right by going bad, and then somehow they have proved us wrong by a mile. And they're here with a game where they could put the Vegas Golden Knights out of the
yeah.
playoffs. Is just mind-boggling to me.
Like I said, so like Corey Perry will take it to a point where he makes the player think, is it even
Mm-hmm.
worth it to win it? Like how do I explain it? Like I don't even care that you're going to win a cup because you are such a putrid human being. I don't even care. That's what seems like that Stone has got to when he's like when he's not backtracking or something. It seems like they've got to him emotionally to a point where they brought something up or or whatever where it's more important than the game to him, and they hit a nerve
Mm-hmm.
and they've grinded into it. That's what it seems like to me, and I'm there's I would have back when Anaheim. There's another guy that used to do that. Back when Anaheim won a cup, there was another guy that was just as brutal as that, and that
Mm-hmm.
was Chris Pronger. Chris Pronger was another one of those
Mm-hmm.
guys that would say anything, do anything. He didn't care. He was going to win, and if he had to, make fun of your dead mother, he would. Okay, and that's what I'm serious. They would. Like if your
No, oh,
father just died
I
a week
remember
ago,
why
he
Chris
would
Pronger
say,
left
like,
Edmonton.
"What's wrong, buddy? Can't play for your old man or what?" They will say stuff like that. Like, is that
Mm-hmm.
taking it too far, or is that part of the game or what? But that's what they'll do. A guy who admitted it on Sirius Radio, who isn't on Sirius anymore, and I wish he was because he was one of my favorite players and
Mm-hmm.
was great on Sirius Radio, was Matthew Barnaby. Matthew Barnaby said he he
Oh yeah.
regrets a lot of the stuff he said on the ice, and he doesn't think that should be part of the game.
I remember playing hockey, and sometimes you just knew something about the guy and you just said it. Sometimes you didn't think about what you were saying in that moment. It's just trash talking. It doesn't matter what you're
Yeah,
saying. You're just out there to try to get in that guy's
yeah,
head. It doesn't matter how outrageous it is. You're out there to get in that
yeah,
guy's head and to get that step above him, especially in the playoffs. Like we're deep into it right now. We're into the games where you could be losing and head off, or going golfing, or going to the Stanley Cup Finals. It is a do or die situation, and trash talk is to get in those guys' heads and to play that with them a little bit. And I think if Montreal continues to do that and continue to bash the body like how they're doing, I think they can win tonight. But I don't think Vegas is done yet. I don't think they're done yet.
well,
I just have a hard time believing that Vegas is gonna go out tonight.
I, I, I'll tell you what.
But I
It's
don't
going to
know.
be one tough win. You got
It is.
in the Montreal. they had a holiday today, so everybody's going to be just
Hmm.
gooned. You think the Islanders were bad last night? Just wait till tonight.
Oh
These
yeah,
guys have
wait
been
until Montreal
drinking
with
since
3,500
9 this
fans.
morning. Jeez, it's going to be an absolute mess there in Montreal. I mean,
Oh,
have
it
you
will
ever
be.
been to Montreal?
I've like passed
Uh,
through it, but that's really
oh
it.
man, like I couldn't. There's nowhere in the world where a hockey game like this. I would just love to be there. The
Oh,
energy
me
and
too. I would
everything.
love
Like
it.
this is when they say it's a religion in Montreal, it's true. Like it is ingrained in them, and they're
Hmm.
if they were to lose uh, this series or something like that, there will literally be hundreds of people falling in the streets. Like and if they win, I don't. It'll be. You can't even put words to. I don't think you can have. They're adjectives. Uh, I don't know how many
It
fans are
would
they
be
allowing
nuts.
in now. Is it still only 3,500?
3,500 fans, and then there's like a outdoor
Yeah,
party too that I've been seeing where there's like a ton of fans out there
yeah,
too. So it's like 3,500 fans in the arena, but there's basically like thousands upon thousands of fans that are just right outside the arena,
yeah.
basically. Which it's just nuts. I'm really excited to see this game tonight. And no matter the outcome, I think this is going to be probably I'm hoping to be one of the best games of this series. I feel like it is. The Canadians with the holiday, just about everything. It's lining up to be a pretty good matchup between these two teams, and I feel like Vegas tonight they got to give it their all. This is a team that should be winning the Stanley Cup this year, or was supposed to, right? They're supposed to make it at least to the finals. And with this, team, how many more years are they going to be able to go, right?
Hmm.
You never know when a Stanley Cup final or a chance like this will come upon your door. And it seems like the Montreal Canadiens are taking it with full swing. They know that they might not have a chance next year, right? I mean, that happens with every team. So I think either way, this is going to be an exciting game. I just can't wait for tonight. I
Yeah,
really can't
I'm
wait.
I'm leaning Montreal actually. I am, and I hate to say that because I'm a Vegas fan, but I'm
Hmm.
leaning Montreal. I just that like I said, there's just this steely warrior mentality to the Montreal Canadiens, and Corey Perry seems to be able to instill this in everybody, and it's quite obvious. You've got to give so much credit to Bergevin. You said this team is built for the playoffs, and they they're built for the playoffs. They're playing like they're doing
Hmm.
it. So no matter what, as much as I admit I've slammed Bergevin for mistakes. I don't understand how he still had a job after you go 10 years without drafting anybody in the first round, like after Pacioretty, and all of the things that went on there. Uh, you know,
I never thought this team was going to be this
I didn't
good.
either.
Like you look at Ducharme throughout the year, I was like, I don't know about this coach. I don't know if he's going to be good. And now in the playoffs, it's like they don't even knew Ducharme and they're still
Yeah.
playing good. Like the thing is, like they picked up Eric Gustin, who I said was going to be a bum pickup, and now they're playing him in very limited minutes, and they're playing him on the power play, and he's doing really good in that
Hmm.
position. He's made a couple mistakes, but with him only playing 8 minutes a game, it's a perfect
Yeah.
spot for him
They just.
because he's only really having to focus on playing
Yeah.
offense, and then Morel can focus on playing
Yeah. There's.
defense. This team from top to bottom is just built for the playoffs. It was never built for the regular season. It was built because they knew that they had a weak North Division and they could probably take advantage of it. And then once they make it to the playoffs, it's a brand new slate and they can do whatever the heck they want to do. And it seems to really be that way for the Montreal Canadiens because I, I'm on the same boat as you. I think they could do it tonight. I think they have that heart in them, especially, being at home. They got all the advantages they need tonight to take this game away from the Golden
Yep.
Knights. And I believe they could.
Hmm. I agree. All right. Get your doggies out. It's time for our break, and then when we come back, we'll get what you guys want, what you guys think, who's going to win tonight, who's going to score the first goal. Maybe we'll do more than that. And we're going to get back to talking about something we didn't finish yesterday. Probably that Matthew Kachuk stuff is fascinating to me. I could, when I heard it for so many reasons, for so many reasons. So we'll look at that, and we'll probably look at a whole bunch of other stuff you guys put in the chat too. So we'll talk to you in a bit. We'll be right back.
Greetings. This is Steel Flyers from the Steel Flyers All Sports Network, and we have two very special guests. We are delighted to be joined by Tracy Musser and Nicole Howard from the Canine Country Club Resorts. Tracy and Nicole are both managers for CCC Resorts and work at the Windsor or at the club, one of two locations both in Manheim, Pennsylvania. Congratulations on your 30th year anniversary of being in business. Let me start off by saying this. Steel Flyer stands behind this company 100%. Taken care of Steel Flyer's furry friend for the last 2 years now, and they are a one-stop shop for everything your furry friend needs. In fact, let's find out what our friends at CCC Resorts offer. Nicole, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Doing great, thank you. What are some of the great boarding services that you guys offer, and what do we have to do in order to get our furry friends taken care of when we are unable to travel with them?
Well, we like to bring everybody in for a tour first. That way they can see the behind the scenes, they can see where they stay, they can see where they play, and then we explain all of the fun things that we can add on to their reservation, whether it be one of our packages, either a nature walk, a ball time, or even a cuddle time.
Oh, wow, that sounds great. Boy, it sure sounds like a resort to me. So how are you today, Tracy?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Tracy, tell me, is it true that you guys have both an indoor and an outdoor pool at the Windsor location?
It is true. We've got one of each, so we're able to offer year-round swimming. The indoor pool is a great option for dogs who are swimming for therapy or rehab. It's got that sloped entry so they can wade into the water. Our outdoor pool is a little bit larger, and it's 4 foot deep the whole way across. And both of them are saltwater pools, so it's really easy on the dog's skin and coat.
Wow, that's very awesome. So then during the summer months, you have a much deeper pool outside and then a sloped entry shallow pool indoors for the dogs. Tracy, tell the folks how we can get some pool time.
Well, the first thing everyone does is come for an intro swim. We use that time to make sure the dog is comfortable in the water. We make sure they know how to get out of the pool safely, and we go over all the pool rules and etiquette with the clients as well. After that, they're able to schedule private appointments where they have the pool to themselves, or they can invite friends and have a whole group swim going on.
So after a dip in the pool, then it would have to be off to the groomers, right? I mean, our furry friends cannot go out looking their best. Nicole, what are some of the great services your top-notch groomers provide?
Our groomers, they specialize in full service grooms. We can do the basics, whether it be just a bath and a brush out or a blowout. Or for the extra pampered pooches, we can do nail dremels, we can do deodorizing soaks, and also facials.
Wow, man, that sounds like a resort if you ask me. Tracy, I know one of the main programs here at CCC Resorts is the WAGS program. The Steel Flyers dog is enrolled in this program. So why don't you tell the folks what is involved in this and how they can get enrolled?
Yeah, the WAGS program is our primary daycare option at the Windsor. It's designed to be a structured program for people who are looking for a set routine for their dog. They all come on the same days each week, which allows them to have set friends, and we know exactly what's going on with each group. So we do a little bit more activities, and we build more into their daily routine there. But we've got other daycare options as well for the people looking for a little less commitment. We do an hourly care where you can drop them off and just pay by the hour. We also do a day stay option, which is great for the dogs that prefer human friends instead of making friends with other dogs. And then we have a traditional daycare option as well if you're looking for the occasional outing for your dog.
Wow, there you have it. A full service groomer, a daycare program, and an indoor and outdoor pool. What more could you ask for? Sure seems like CCC Resorts has everything covered. Remember, DOG, depend on God.
I think not that long ago.
Fault. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know why I go get a coffee every other time and I come back and it's fine. Go get a coffee this time, come back and it's not. I don't know. I didn't do anything
Mm-hmm.
different. All right. Okay. So we're going to go into everybody's picks. We'll let people come back first. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people coming in here now. Now there is sound. Yes. Just took a little bit.
Yep.
Takes a little bit. Okay. So we got, we'll do our picks for, I don't know. This is going to be a very interesting game. I wanted to do my little take on the laner thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's a bad idea. And the reason why I don't think it's a bad idea is not because one goaltender is better than the other. It's more to do with the fact that this team needs to refocus. And changing things up with Laner hopefully can change up the energy, because their energy coming out of the game before was stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I think it also has to do with, there's also another theory I got based on what I was saying before. These people, that's not a way to say it. Pacioretty and Stone specifically, and Fleury in a lot of ways as well, looked emotionally bothered.
Mm-hmm.
And
They do.
they do. So it almost, Fleury's a very emotional dude. You've seen it how many times? He's even said it himself. He wears his emotions on his sleeve sometimes. And
Mm-hmm.
if they're attacking verbally some things about Pacioretty and about Stone or whatever the case may be, and Fleury's watching their teammates go through this, it can affect them. A guy like Laner, on the other hand, I don't think it's not that he's a steely guy. He's actually fairly emotional too, but his emotions come out as anger. Okay.
Yeah, I think he loves the crap talking and everything like that, because he even said these, like, I was just looking on Twitter to see you guys crap talk me so it can motivate me.
Yeah, it
And
motivates
he
him. Yeah.
seems to be perfect. I don't know why they didn't play Robin Lehner a lot more throughout the series, and especially in the last game. That's why I was like, why didn't you guys throw in Robin Lehner? Marc-Andre Fleury looked like, crap in the game before, and then you guys threw in Lehner, which I thought was a really smart idea, and then you throw Fleury back in. It's not the regular season here. You gotta keep in at least one goalie. I like keeping in a goalie and seeing how well he does and just ride it out. I would have liked to see Lehner in the last game and see how well he did. But we get to see him tonight, and I think Lehner will bring that kind of difference to the game, because he did when Lehner was in that the first time. I think they won that game, right?
Yeah.
With Lehner in the
Yeah.
2-1.
Yeah.
It was a really close game. And I mean, Vegas almost didn't win that game, but with Lehner, doing what he did and being that big backstop they need him to be, he was that guy. And I think Lehner can be that guy here in game 6, but I just don't think they'll be able to do it against the Montreal Canadiens. Montreal has been powerful. Either Montreal will win game 6 or games, and I think Canadiens will pull away with the series victory. And I could totally be wrong, but I think they're going to win this one. I think it's going to be a close one. I'm going to go with, oh man, I think I got to go with, I'm going to go 1-0 Montreal.
Ooh.
I feel I'm probably going to be wrong, but I'm going to go with 1-0 Montreal. I feel like this is going to be a very close one. Perfect.
Habs. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I could definitely see a low-scoring game, and with Price in the net, it's almost assured. Like, is this guy ever going to have a bad game? Like even great
Seriously.
goaltenders have like one bad game in the playoffs, right? He hasn't had one bad game in the playoffs. The guy's been absolute rock all the way through.
I
And
mean, I think the only bad game was like when he let in 4 goals on 30 shots or 26 shots or something
yeah,
like
and it
that.
wasn't even that bad of a game. But I guess that would
No,
have been his worst game. It
that
was,
like that was one of his, I guess, one of his worst games out of the playoffs. But even then, like every game, it's like a 935, a 956. He's always just dominating. It seems like unless the team loses, then he has a bit of a worse save percentage. But even then, even when he does lose, he still has a really good save percentage. And it seems like Price has just been a different guy in the playoffs, which is weird for us to say that we're talking so highly of Carey Price because before we used to bash this guy for not being so well. Now, he's been amazing, and I love Carey Price. I've always been a big fan of Carey Price since he entered in the league, and seeing him having this success once again, I'm happy to see it because if Price could continue to play like this for most of his career again, it's just going to be a fun career to watch. And I mean, if Price also continues the way that he is and he outperforms Laner, I could see Price pulling away with a shutout tonight. But that's if they're able to shut down the Vegas Golden Knights and to continue doing what they've been doing.
yeah. I think another thing is, if things do go awry, like if Vegas does, like if they're out of it in the third, I think this
Hmm.
could be, I think there could be a brawl. I think there could be a brawl in
Yeah,
this one because if
there
if
could be.
if what I'm saying, if what I'm my theory is correct here, when
Hmm.
if Montreal wins this series, or even if it's like close game right to the end, and they at the end of the game, I could see some mitts coming off. You know where we're gonna see? We're gonna see if this
Mm.
theory is correct, is when they shake hands afterwards. Because
Yes.
if in fact Perry is doing what I know Perry has done before, Perry, as
Hmm.
without a doubt, there are no boundaries of what he's going to attack on you at all. I've heard stuff like when after Cassian came out of rehab, Perry, something happened with Perry was going to try to get Cassian to drop him, and he wouldn't. And he said, "What? Are you a little too tired after your rehab, buddy, or what? You don't do that stuff now since you stopped drinking, stuff like that." Like
Hmm.
he'll attack anything. He don't care. He doesn't care. So
He
we'll
doesn't.
see. We'll see what happens. But because if he hit really a low point with Stone, he's probably not shaking his hand afterwards.
Oh, most likely not. I mean, who would want to shake your Corey Perry's hand if you're saying stuff like that to you to just get in your head? I mean, I wouldn't want to shake the guy's hand, but yeah, this is a do or die one for the Golden Knights tonight. I think like if Corey Perry keeps doing what he's been doing to Mark Stone and those guys, it's going to be a tough one for Vegas. But I think there could be a brawl tonight. We've been seeing it a lot. It's been building up with a lot of these no calls, and who's going to be reffing this game tonight as well between these two teams. I might actually research that, but um, we'll see what's
Uh,
going to happen tonight. But I think there could be. These two teams have been. It's been their tension's been building up and building up and building up, and we'll see what happens, especially with the holiday that Quebec is having right now, and those fans are going to be nuts. Even if it's just 3,500 people in the arena, it is going to be nuts in that Bell Center. Absolutely crazy.
Austin, how you doing, buddy? Yeah, we were. What do you think the score is going to be, my friend? I got I got that 1-0 seems pretty interesting, but I'm going to go 2-1, 2-1 Habs. I think it's going to be an overtime too. I think it's going to go into overtime. I think it's going to be a pretty crazy game. I wouldn't even doubt that Vegas does outplay them in a lot of ways. Austin's taking 3-1.
And
Uh,
the rest for tonight's game is Kelly Sutherland and Eric Furlat.
okay.
Those are the two
Well,
guys that are going to be
the
refereeing
refing
this
has
game.
been bad when you start asking who the ref's going to be in the game. Like that's
Yeah.
and actually, the refing has been bad when I say anything about the refing because I'm probably one of the biggest sympathizers with refs that you
Hmm.
can find, but
Same. I
the
personally,
roughing has
I've
been terrible. It's just simple. It has been.
I I've refed before, and I know how hard it is to deal with coaches yelling at you and everything in that sorts. But the things that we've been seeing let go, especially the cross checks that we've been seeing, which has been a lot of them. It's not playoff hockey when you see that like 50 billion times and you're seeing players getting hurt from it. Like you sooner or later got to be like, okay, I got to start calling these things or start calling it consistently because that's the problem with a lot of these refs. Right now, we're not getting a lot of consistent calls, right? We're getting, a tripping call called here, but then we'll see like 10 different trips, but they won't get called. And then we'll see another one get called later on in the game.
Yeah.
It's like there's no consistency in this game, and they're not setting the tempo very correctly, right? Like I'm taking a look at the stats of these refs for Sutherland and Furlap. Both of them are not very good at calling penalties right off the get go to start the game off, which for a ref, you want to get off to a great start refing. You want to get, those first couple penalties out of the way. You want to be setting up the game for how the rest of the game will go, right? Because if you don't call any penalties, if you don't call those first couple hooks or those first couple cross checks, then the entire game, you're going to be seeing that all game long. So these refs, they got to go out there and they got to just start calling stuff consistently right off the get go. Not 7 penalties in the first period, but at least call them the major ones like the big cross checks or anything like that where McNabb punches Suzuki in the face. Call that. Put him in the box,
Yeah. Okay.
right? You got to call those types of penalties.
Who do you think's been getting the better? Do you think, like for instance, in the Tampa Bay New York Islanders series, who's been getting the advantage as far as the poor calls by the refs? Do you think,
I
or
think
has there been really any? Has it just been bad all over?
I think I can't remember the stats. I think it's almost pretty even between New York and Tampa Bay. But that last game was a lot of missed calls on New York, especially for Mayfield. There could have been a couple on Mayfield for especially the cross checks, especially the one on Stamkos where he practically got lunged into the boards. And I don't know how that was not called a penalty when you're legit going face first into the boards. And that's not a penalty call. These I think the worst one though out of everything is the Canadiens Vegas series. Vegas has actually been having a lot more power plays than what Montreal has been having in this series. Like Vegas, without a doubt, has been having more power play time and have been having getting more power play chances than compared to Montreal. So I think the worst series that I've been seeing refed has been the Montreal Vegas Golden Knights series. Not as much in the New York Tampa Bay series, but more in the Montreal Vegas one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. I just thought I'd ask you. I don't know. Because I would have to go through all of it to take a look. I know these guys. They played a lot more. They refed a lot more games than they did before. Again, like I said, they had tons of injuries. They had guys doing back to backs like crazy. They've had all the problems that the players have had, right?
Hmm.
Up until this time. Like they've had to deal with COVID. They've had to deal with all of this stuff like that. And whether it's being tired or whatever the case may be, if I wanted to take the time, I'd go through the games and really watch, because sometimes also refs do uh, they start calling on one team or another because of some things that are
Yeah.
being said and all that kind of stuff like that as well. Like for instance, if Perry
So.
is trash talking Stone in the way I'm talking about, and refs hear
Hmm.
it, they'll call less penalties on the Montreal Canadiens because of it.
Yeah, like I'm just looking at the numbers now between the Canadiens and the Golden Knights. Now, this is between like all the games, but Golden Knights have been having way more time on the power play by above 10 minutes over the Canadiens. And I think that's even in the series where it's like Vegas has had 10 minutes of extra power play time. You're looking at the Islanders Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay only has 5 less power play minutes than New York compared to the Vegas Montreal series, which is just insane, the difference of power play time between those two teams. Um, I I've been paying more attention to the refs and the Canadians and Vegas Golden Knights, and I think a lot of more people are because I guess since I'm in Canada, I've been seeing more of the Canadians games, and of course, most of the Canadians fans have been complaining about the refs, and you look at it and you see Chris Lee trying to say let's finish this game off. Like, who as a ref does that? Who in the world goes up and just like, oh yeah, just let these guys keep on scrumming and just keep rolling the clock? Like, how does that make any sense? And why don't you blow your whistle with 3 seconds left to maybe give them a good offensive zone draw instead of just letting everyone go just out of hand? That's how a brawl happens. And that's why I was like saying at the beginning that these refs need to start getting consistent and need to start calling good calls, because you're going to have games and also afterwards where the media is going to start bashing you afterwards if you don't call those consistent calls.
Yeah, and that's what the commentators were taught. Even like it's gotten so bad that even the commentators are saying. Craig Button once said it was like one of the worst called, and they're saying it in the media that's paid by Sportsnet and all of that stuff like that, and they're not even getting any backlash from it. So there is definitely a problem. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Montreal is taking the series. Yeah, I agree. It's been an incredible playoffs. And if it does turn out to be, I have a hard time. I don't even know anymore. That's really what I'm saying. I don't even know anymore. I don't know anymore. Everything that makes sense has gone out the window. Besides the fact that the best goaltenders win cups. Besides that's one thing that stays the same out of this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and sure, having guys like Warriors like Price and stuff like that certainly does have an effect, but you still got two under 21-year-old centers for the Montreal Canadiens.
Mm-hmm.
Kotkaniemi and Stahl, what is he, like 37, 38 years old, can't skate anymore. Let's get down to brass tacks here, okay? This is how amazing that this team is doing. They have players on this team that have no business to be here. I'm not going to butter it up any frickin' more. I'm sitting here trying to say it. On paper, Montreal has no business being in this plot, period. Besides Price. Besides Price. It's just been a complete team warrior mentality, and they've got into the heads of a lot of I think they got in the heads of their opposition. And with Toronto, it was easy. Matthews, if you go back and look at this, remember when they were saying about Matthews and Marner, how they looked like they mentally weren't there?
Mm-hmm.
So what were they doing to these guys to do that? Was it and Winnipeg? Okay, the Scheifele situation. Where did that anger come from? Have you ever seen Scheifele do that? Yeah.
No.
Have you ever seen
never
Scheifele do
that angry?
Exactly. So they are winning these series by going to the lowest of lows with all of these guys and hitting them right in their spots to get them thinking of something other than the game. I believe that's what's happening here. It's just, if you look at every single one of these situations, when Scheifele did that hit, at the end of that, his eyes, like people say, right?
Yeah.
His eyes looked like he was a different human being all of a sudden.
It did. It did look like he was a completely different human being, because he looked like he was so pissed off, and you seen Sherratt pulling him around. And at first, Matthews didn't care, but I'd seen, like, once Tavares went out and the team, like, once they lost Muzzin, it just seemed like Matthews and Marner were letting the Canadiens get in their heads. Because it seemed like the Maple Leafs were playing really good when they weren't letting the Canadiens into their heads. But like they said, in a 7-game series, most people would choose the Canadiens just because of the fact that, if they were to get in your head and were able to bruise and batter you, they would destroy you. And that's what they did against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Is that, they might have went, Toronto might have went up 3-1 and might have had a distinct advantage, but Montreal's like, bet. We'll just keep playing mind games with you. And that's what they did. throughout those next 4 games that they won, continued going up against the Winnipeg Jets. They just continued playing those mind games with people and pissing people off, which is what they do best, and reason why they're winning.
Yeah, that's to me that's what's winning these series is they are actually seriously letting the words take over their game, and they've did their homework and they know exactly what buttons to push, and like I said, it can be anything. If they find something that they think's going to make you lose your mind, they will do it. And if you remember, I'm going to do a video about this, actually. I'm going to do a video about this. If you remember afterwards, when they were talking to Price about the hit, the Scheifele hit, he was he was basically kind of coy about it. Like, I'm sorry Evans got hurt like that, but I do believe also he thinks that Evans had a responsibility there. But also, he knows why Scheifele was so angry. He knows why. He got into him right away. And like I said, Matthews had that look on his face a little bit too. Sort of like, I don't even care anymore. Like they hit a nerve with all of these guys. And we'll see what happens if Montreal, I think Montreal wins this series. Because you look at what Stone and Pacioretty, they got to turn around their attitude really quick here and put it all behind them and just play hockey. Because if they don't, they're done. If they play anything like they were the last game, where they looked like spoiled children or like they were deeply offended by everything that was going on around them, they are done.
Yep, without a doubt. They got to play a lot better, Vegas, and if Mark Stone and Pacioretty don't play a lot better, and also to note, Carlson, Smith, and Marchessault need to start scoring goals as well. That's also another line. We haven't talked about them too much yet, and I think analytically they weren't too bad in the last game, but they need to start putting goals in the back of the net if they want their team to win, and it's going to be a tough game for Vegas. They really got to dig deep tonight to be able to pull out of the rut that they're right now stuck in, because it seems like they can score goals, and for them to win this game, they need to get a couple goals in that back of the net, and more than just one or two. They need to really get a couple in that back of the net to get their forwards going, because honestly, even if they do pull away with this series against the Canadiens, I think they're going to feel these effects if they do beat the Canadiens going into the Stanley Cup Finals. I feel like they will. They did it last year when they went up against Canucks and they got Demko'd, and then they went up against Dallas and they didn't have any confidence. This Vegas Golden Knights team, they seem to play off of confidence, and if they don't have that confidence, they're just not there.
Yeah, and like I said, the Montreal has basically has really thrown them off of their games for sure. Okay, so we touched on this a little. We touched on the next thing. If you want to talk more about the playoff stuff, you let me know. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about Marc-Andre. Bill T said Marc-Andre Fleury ain't right when he is in net. Again, I think he's been thrown off emotionally here, and I'm going to do a video about this. I think this has been something that I didn't really notice until I talked about it today, but you start to see the thread through all the series, and that really clicked in my head about the look of Scheifele after he made that hit and what was going on, and the look of Stone where he's like throwing his hands up in the air and like just doing unstone-like things over and over and over again is crazy. Are we seeing Tampa as okay, we can talk about that. Why not? Are we seeing Tampa as a dynasty? Well, they have to win this year for that to happen.
A dynasty is basically like, I heard like some analysts say that a dynasty is like when you win 4 cups in a row or something like that. I think that's just kind of BS. I think a dynasty is like if you were to get, I guess, 3 or 4 cups in a span of like years, kind of like what Chicago did. I would almost call what Chicago did a dynasty. Because they won 3 cups in 5 years.
Yeah, that's a dynasty.
In the cap era nowadays, that's a dynasty in my opinion.
I agree.
Right, what the Pittsburgh Penguins did. They didn't want a back-to-back. Are they a dynasty? No, they were almost there. They did an awesome thing going back to back, but they didn't bring in the three. The three is what really makes you a dynasty of a squad, is bringing in those three cups.
Hmm.
Tampa Bay could. It could possibly be that dynasty team. But the thing is, they have to win it again this year and then again later on. And if they were to want to be a dynasty, they would have had to win it probably a couple years back.
Yeah.
Right? Stamkos and Kucherov, they're not getting any younger. But, I mean, with Brayden Point coming up, you never know. This team could possibly win cups for this whole decade. But I think they could. I think they could become a dynasty here in the next little bit.
Yeah. Um, I mean, as long as you got Vasilevsky, you got a chance, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing, and they're still going to have a strong team, but uh, it's so hard to win back to back nowadays. Even hitting a even winning one back to back almost puts you on the dynasty. If you're going to win a dynasty, you're probably more likely to do it the way Chicago did it:
Mm-hmm.
win one, don't win the next year, win one, don't win the next one. You know, you could put them in that, but there hasn't been anything written out as this is what a dynasty is. So you're really just working on your own opinion. I would say the Pittsburgh Penguins, uh, with in that Yager days, how many they won? Like they were definitely the best team of that deck. Detroit was a dynasty
Oh, Detroit was a dynasty.
for
Yep,
sure.
they were.
Pittsburgh
They
Penguins are right on the edge, or maybe they were. I don't know, but Detroit was definitely a dynasty. Detroit Red Wings were definitely. What did they
oh,
win? Did they win two in a like? What was that? 4 and 6 years or something like
I
that?
think something like that.
Yeah, that
I think
was.
they're the reason why the salary cap got implemented in because of
Yeah,
the way that they were able to stack their teams up with like Hall and yeah, Iserman and Datsuk practically playing on the third line. Oh my lord.
the Kings were pretty close too. That's another one.
Yep, the Kings were close. Like, yeah, Pittsburgh, they went back to back, and then they didn't win another one after that. They just went back to back, and then Detroit went back to back, and then they won another one in 2002. So it went from 1998 to 2002. They won a cup, and then they won another one in 2008. So they won about 4 cups in the span of a couple of years. I think they would be almost a dynasty because that's not that's like 3 years difference when they won their next cup. And if they didn't have to deal with the Avalanche, who was so mighty, and also New Jersey, I mean, the Detroit could have had a couple more. Colorado might have actually been a dynasty team. No, they only won 2. They could be a dynasty team if they do keep blowing up like how they are.
Yeah, Bill T says no. That's not true, Bill. McDavid doesn't want to go anywhere
No,
else. That's
McDavid doesn't want to go anywhere. Where
yeah.
have you been reading these rumors
The only
at?
the only thing that the only reason why that came up was and I do believe that it could have been a good possibility, where McDavid did say that if we don't do something with this organization, I want out of here, and I don't blame him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't blame him, but we are moving in a direction. We made the playoffs a couple times, and he's come out and said, "I'm happy here. I'm staying here. I want to win a cup here." All that stuff like that now. So he's put that all to rest. So you don't need to worry about that. Hi CL, how you doing, buddy? Okay, so where we're going to talk about now, I still to me it's the hugest story out there right now, and
I think so.
I'm fascinated by this story. So we'll go back to we talked about it a little bit at the end of the show yesterday, and I think I'm going to actually no, I already did a video on this, so I'm not going to record it, but. We do want to. Did you get the numbers for that? Because I do want to clip that little piece out.
Yep.
Okay. Shane O'Brien from Sirius News. I listened to Sirius News in my car. I have that Sirius Radio, whatever. It's well worth it, by the way. For $100 a year, you get some great stuff on there. Do I think before we'll all answer? Do I think Montreal or Vegas have a shot against Tampa? Absolutely, I do. I think either one of them could. Montreal can beat anybody right now. If they can get under,
they seem to be like that way.
If they can get under the heads, especially with Kucherov hurt, if Kucherov is out, and it looks like he very likely will be, then for sure they could. But anyways, the story we're talking about, Shane O'Brien from Sirius Radio He is like, he was an ex-player. He played for the Colorado Avalanche, and he knows a lot of players out there. I listen to it all the time. Sirius Radio is not a rumor mill. They don't come out and talk about rumors. They will talk about things kind of like what we do here, where if something is really coming out, every once in a while, they will speculate, but very seldom will they say things like Shane O'Brien said here. Basically, what Shane O'Brien said was, a little birdie gave me an indication that Matthew Tkachuk wants out of Calgary and he wants to play in St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
And
St. Louis. Wow.
yeah, you didn't know that part?
No, I didn't know that part. I thought he was just wanting out of Calgary.
No, he wants to go to St. Louis because, well, he was born in St. Louis, right? His father, Keith Tkachuk, was in St. Louis when they were born. And he wants to play where his dad played in St. Louis, and be home and all that kind of stuff like that. So it's not even just I want out of Calgary. It's also that when he becomes a free agent, regardless of where they trade him, he's going to St. Louis. Much like what Panarin told Chicago when they traded him to Columbus, and Columbus knew that he wanted to go to New York, right?
Mm-hmm.
At that time. Everybody knows now, but it wasn't this public. Like Panarin said that, and anybody who follows and listens to and reads would know that Panarin said that, but it never came out in the mass media. Nobody actually said it in the mass media like this. A little birdie by the name of Keith, Lauren says. Yeah, probably. He knows Keith. He would know Keith fairly well. And Keith is a blabbermouth too, right? Keith Tkachuk. He always was. So I wouldn't doubt it.
See, the thing with this one, it's like, what would St. Louis, if they wanted Tkachuk, what would they have to give up?
That's the thing, is they've taken all the leverage away from Calgary. Calgary's going to get crap back wherever he goes.
Yeah, like St. Louis doesn't have a lot of top tier prospects. Like, unless you were to trade away Kyrou and Thomas, but I'm pretty sure like St. Louis would like to keep some of those guys. And then you look down at the pipeline of St. Louis. You got Scott Pornonovich, defenseman there for the St. Louis.
Parayko.
He could possibly be somebody.
Yeah, Parayko, yeah.
Jake Neighbors is somebody they could trade away for prospect.
You're talking about the prospect. Poronovich, yeah.
Yeah,
Jake Neighbors.
Yeah, Pronovich.
I love Jake Neighbors.
Scott Pronovich.
I like Jake Neighbors, actually. Yeah, he looks like a gooder. But
none of these guys are like super high tier guys like Matthew Tkachuk, right? Like Matthew Tkachuk is like almost in the talks of like Jack Eichel, a little bit worse, but a guy that could still get you a decent first round pick, top tier prospect. But I don't think you're going to get that from the St. Louis Blues, especially a caliber player that could play in your offensive core, maybe a centerman. But I don't see them trading away Shen. I don't know. This is a weird discussion because, I mean, it is Shane O'Brien, and we don't know if it's necessarily true that Tkachuk wants out because we haven't heard from him. But we know that the Flames have been kind of a gong show this past season, and Tkachuk really didn't like the ice time that he was given, especially dealing with Sutter. And not a lot of people like Sutter at some moments of time, so maybe this is a weird one. Really weird.
Well, that's what I mean. It's a huge, because, okay, this is the way I look at it. This is, Sirius is not, like I said, a rumor place.
Mm-hmm.
I think he would have to ask to talk about it before he talked about it, unless he got a talking to afterwards that he said something about it on the air. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to look bad on Sirius Radio if there's no truth to this at all. Here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
I don't hear anybody in the Calgary organization saying, "Oh, this is nonsense. It's not, I don't know where they hear." You're not hearing anything like that. Nobody's denying it, right? And that's usually the first thing that happens when something like this comes out about one of your best players, if not the best player on your team. Oh, this is nonsense. They don't, there's no truth to this and up, but you're not hearing a darn thing about it. I would think that
Also,
the package would include.
sorry to cut you
Uh,
off. Shane O'Brien also, I guess, because I was just doing a little research. Shane O'Brien did break some trades at the deadline, so he is almost like Weeks. So this rumor totally could be true that Kachuk does want out of Calgary,
he's turning into a
which
bit of
is
an
just
insider.
mind-boggling. Yeah, Shane O'Brien turned it into a bit of an insider.
Okay.
That's funny.
Yeah, he could be. I mean, I don't know. It does.
But who knows? I mean, if whatever. I mean, he looks like he's doing pretty good. He has a nice little podcast that he's doing, which looks pretty fun. I mean, yeah, I still think it's mind-boggling that I don't think it's mind-boggling because it's Calgary, and who really wants to play in a 20-year-old arena like the Saddle Dome? Um, I could see it, but I don't see the Flames winning this deal. I don't see them winning in this deal.
That's the whole thing.
Trade
Is
away Kachuk, just like Buffalo.
this is terrible for them. I think Buffalo's in a better spot than Calgary is because anybody that's going to take him is like, we know we're only going to have him for 2-3 years. They gotta hope.
That's the
they
thing.
gotta hope that there's a team out there that really, really,
Mhm.
really thinks that they can win a cup with this guy for the next 2-3 years. But then you're still trading for a guy whose heart doesn't really want to be where he's at. I mean, I don't even know if I want to trade with him. And then this is the other thing I didn't even get into. What now do we do with Brady Tkachuk? Are you telling?
Well, he's like in Ottawa.
But
He's like in Ottawa with Stützle, and he's pretty good friends with Stützle. So I don't know if they would. I think Kachuk has really built a good, I guess. He really likes Ottawa, right? He's having good friends with Stützle. I think that's going to be a big difference. But do you think he follows after his brother and goes to St. Louis with him?
has it always been the plan? He's 21 years old. He's not going to say anything about it right now. It'll affect the game. See, Matthew is different because Calgary is basically already saying they're going to trade away Goudreau and everything. They're doing this all big whatever going on. They bring in Sutter, who's obviously an axe guy, and all that kind of stuff like that. So he can basically come out or make it come out. He didn't say it out of his own mouth, but he can get it out in the open where he really wants to go now because they're already planning on trading everybody away. So it doesn't look so bad. They're not in a cup. They're not contenders. Where in Ottawa, Brady, it would be really bad right now for him to say anything like that. So he'll keep it inside. And then, a couple years away from UFA, he can go, not to mention he doesn't have any arbitration rights or any leverage at all to do anything like that. It would be really difficult to make that move for him now.
And that's the thing. That's the thing with Kachuk. It puts Calgary in a really sticky situation because of the fact that Calgary only signed him for 2 years. He's going to be arbitration eligible next year when his contract runs out. So he's going to be having this one last year, and then you're going to have to deal with him in arbitration. And you really, really don't want to be dealing with the guy that does not want to be there, first of all.
No.
And then you also have to deal with arbitration with him. I think this is a very sticky situation for the Calgary Flames that they have found themselves stuck in here with Matthew Tkachuk. And this was a guy that they did not want to upset, and it seems like they have. And I kind of had that feeling that, Calgary, I don't know if they ticked him off or something. Maybe it was just the less ice time that he had because he once Sutter got hired there, his minutes went from being top to being pretty low in ice time. He was playing top minutes, and then Sutter was like, "You're not giving enough heart. Go sit down. You're playing less minutes."
Yeah.
And we seen that near the end of the year where Kachuk was, playing top ice time to playing way less near the end of the season. So maybe that was a big reason why Kachuk is maybe wanting out.
Yeah, there's probably a bunch of reasons. And it's Calgary. Why would you want to be in Calgary anyways? Okay. Had to throw that in there at the end. Did you hear about the Sedin brothers now in Vancouver? Yeah, I did. They took a bunch of pay cuts. They did. Sedin brothers never got paid what they could have got paid. They could have left Vancouver. They could have asked for more. They could have got more money. But then, and you're going to see.
Oh yeah.
What are the advisor to the general manager? What they play golf. They're going to play golf together. That's what are the Sedins going to do? Nothing. They're not going to do anything. They're getting paid they get paid a salary because they.
The Sedins will probably be like, uh, Benning, I don't think you should sign Barry that huge contract. What are you doing, Benning? Why are you calling Barry? Why are you calling? Oh no, we just signed Tyson Barry to the team.
No, don't.
Oh man,
No, don't. That's probably what it's gonna be. Yeah, they'll be.
why are you signing Russell again? Why are you signing Anton Russell again to another $3 million deal?
Yeah,
What?
that'll be funny. They'll be out golfing, and they'll be out golfing with Benning, and
Whatever,
Benning will be
Benny.
like, Benning will be like, "Hey guys, how you doing?" One of the Sedins will be out to freaking on the first tee, and just as he's about to swing, he'll say, "Oh yeah, we signed Barry for $5 million a year." Sedin shank it out over into the
Swing,
second
miss.
hole and throws his freaking. What are you talking about? Are you freaking
What?
crazy? Did you watch that guy play last year?
He's practically Tyler Myers 2.0,
Yeah,
but
I don't even think
smaller.
Sedins have ever swore in their life, but they would probably
Oh
swear
man.
in that moment that they did that. Like, oh my gosh. Oh, Shane Doan would probably swear. Oh, it would not surprise me at all
Oh.
if Barry goes to Vancouver. That is exactly where I think he's going to end up. Don't you?
And that's the funny thing too, because he was rumored to go there last
Yep.
offseason until the Edmonton Oilers scooped him up. They were like gonna pay him like big bucks for long term. And the thing is now Vancouver doesn't have the salary cap to do that anymore. Unless they were dumb with that $15 million that they got left over. They'll just like, oh yeah, screw Quinn Hughes. We'll sign the better Tyson Barry. Tyson Barry will be better than him. Whatever. But I don't see Canucks being. I mean, it's Jim Benning, who knows? But with the amount of salary cap they have, they're stuck in a pretty bad situation to do
Yeah.
anything with that team
Fortunately,
going
their
into the
salary cap may
offseason.
prevent them from making any more mistakes. Good.
Yeah, good thing. The
The,
Sedins still have to be super stressed out about
the
yelling at him
Vancouver
about Barry.
Canucks are the reason why we have a salary cap in a lot of ways. Because if there was no salary cap, they'd have Lucic, they'd be paying him like $8 million a year. They probably
I
would have
know, like
outbids for Skinner.
it's nuts. It's nuts to really hear about all the rumors that the Canucks are always like involved with. Like they were involved with Lucic.
Yeah.
That would have been horrible. They got Erickson instead, and that was still bad. They were in on the rumors about Barry. He's bad. They picked up Tyler Myers on probably one of the worst contracts ever, and he's atrocious. They signed Roussel to a $3 million deal. Just about everything that this team has done, like Jim Benning has signed, has been pretty stinky. It's not been very
Yeah.
good signings, and it's a good thing that they don't have salary
They
cap going
pick
into
up
the
Shane
season.
Gostisbehere off of free agency. That would probably be one of their better signings. Uh,
That would be. Just make their team pure
Trotz
offense.
says he wasn't
Screw
feeling very
defense. We don't
well in
need
the
any
post-game
defense.
interview. Well, okay, let's talk about that real quick too. There was something else I wanted to do about. Oh yeah, Montreal was actually the team that almost got Lucic. It was between them and Montreal, and that was back in the day when I thought Bergevin was a
Ugh.
horrible general manager, and now I have to say otherwise.
That would have been pretty bad.
Weird. It's like a
I know. I don't know. I can't believe like the general manager of the year. How did Lou Lamoriello and then Mark Bergevin
Oh.
place second for GM of the year, where they legit butchered their team for the future? Like they have no future, but yet they
Lou
win
Lam-
GM of the year.
'cause
How does
I
that
think
make
it's
any
because
sense?
Lou Lamoriello has people in high places that get things done. I swear to God.
He does.
Like he convinced
He does.
Kovalchuk to retire and go to the KHL, so they didn't have to pay him the rest of his salary. Like they called him in, and there was a bunch of guys named Guido and Breaker in the background, and he said, "Yeah, we think you would want to retire," and he's like, "Well, I don't want to retire." Oh. We think you'd want to retire. I swear, he doesn't even remind you of like some mob guy that sits up there and does it.
And then remember that when Kovalchuk was rumored to come back to the NHL in New Jersey was like, oh, we have the rights of Kovalchuk. We have the rights of Kovalchuk, so we could trade him. Come on, give us the rights of Kovalchuk. Come on. We signed him to that big deal. We have his rights. And then the NHL's like, nope, you don't.
Anyways, that I wanted to talk about that real. We got 10 minutes. Why the heck are goaltenders not wearing throat protectors? They did all this.
I
you
don't
do
know.
this all this goaltender stuff, and you're worried about injuries, and you don't make goaltenders wear throat protectors? Are you freaking mad? I didn't even know that was a thing. I never paid attention to it until Sorokin catches one in the throat, and I'm like, well, how did that get past his throat protector? And then a guy says on the thing is like, Kelly Rudy says, oh, really goaltenders should wear throat protectors. I was like, well, yeah. What the heck are you talking about, man?
Yeah.
Are you kidding
So
me?
most of the reason why there's a lot of goalies that don't wear the neck protector because they feel like it hinders them when they move around, especially the fast moving goalies. They don't like to wear the neck protectors because if they want to move their head around fast, then they move their head around fast. But they need it because it protects their throat. And they don't have one of those neck protectors where, like, you put it on or whatever. They don't even wear anything. They don't wear anything around their neck. And if they do, it's just like that little dangly thing, which does protect them a whole lot. I mean, I've seen kids get saved because of a neck protector. And I've seen it get broken in half because of a puck coming at it so hard. So I do think most goalies should wear neck protectors. It saves them. And especially with, 100-mile-per-hour shots coming at you and how fast the pucks are coming at you nowadays, they should be wearing
Yeah.
throat protectors to save themselves. It's just like wearing helmets in the warm-up. And we've seen it, where Taylor Hall got sliced open and now they kind of wear their buckets on their head where it's like not even strapped up for the warm-ups.
Yeah.
But I think they should definitely be wearing their neck protectors. I
I
think
just
all
couldn't
goalies
believe it
should.
that they weren't. That's stupid. I mean, you only have to take Shea Weber shot around the chest area once, don't you, before you think, oh, that could kill me. You know, like you get hit in the
Yep.
throat by flat on with in the throat from a Weber shot from the point at 100 and some. You're not coming back from that. You're done. Like, what? I don't understand that. It's so weird. Uh, Sorokin caught in his jersey after it hit his throat. Yeah. So I don't know. I thought that was really strange. Um, that there was something I've lost my train of thought of what I was going to talk about after that now because you brought that up. The skate to the throat, that was Barrasso back in the day. But I think was that Barrasso that got the skate in the throats? I think it was. You would think after that maybe
Maybe.
it's a good idea to wear throat protection. I know when I played, I had that's the other thing I don't understand. When I played, I had ankle protectors because I block shots like crazy. I
Hmm.
don't know, guys. It just
Oh, I support ankle. I didn't play with any ankle protector, and to be honest with you, my ankles like are screwed. The ball of my ankle on my right foot from blocking a shot is still screwed to this day because of how hard of a shot that I took to my ankle. Surprisingly, didn't injure it, but just the ball of it just bugs me all the time just because I blocked a shot with it, and that's why I do think most defensemen should wear ankle protectors because your ankle is probably one of your weakest spots, especially when you're playing hockey. It is really, really easy to break your ankle or to take a shot that injures your ankle. It's really
yeah,
easy.
oh yeah. I mean, I wore them all the time, and people said, "Well, how did you skate with those things?" You learn. I mean, I'm blocking shots all day. Ludwig from the Minnesota Wild. He had some of the biggest pads. They had to make rules because of him. The defensemen did that back in the day. His pads were so big that he could barely like he had to reinvent his skating. So he wasn't a great skater to begin with, but so they would actually bang on each other. They were so big, so he could block more shots. They did change that, but he also wore ankle protectors and
Holy
stuff.
crap. Those were
It's just,
huge shin
do you want
guards.
to put that up on? I should look that Lundqvist. It was
Yeah,
Craig
Craig
Ludwig.
Ludwig, his shin pads are massive. They're like goalie
Yeah.
pads.
You know what they used to do? He said he used to put them in water and they would swell up with water. That's what he would do.
Yeah, because those knee pads were so bad back in the day. They were practically like cement, and they could absorb water and like I mean those they were legit like goalie pads, like what he was
That was
wearing
crazy.
basically. And I mean I mean, smart, right? You're saving your legs for most of
Yeah,
your career, and who cares if you have to figure out to skate a new way? You'll
yeah,
learn, right? It's just like how you have bigger legs. It's just you're making yourself with these huge damn shin pads.
yeah.
It's nuts, but
I'm gonna
I mean
try
it
to window
worked.
capture it. Uh, See if the people can see it out there.
Oh, Henrik Lundqvist is exempt from Seattle because he didn't play any games this season, so that's why he's
There you
exempt
go.
from the expansion draft because
Check
he
those
didn't
out.
play.
Oh my gosh, that is freaking psycho, man.
Oh
Like,
my
yeah,
lord.
but he also had ankle protectors on, and I used ankle protectors when I did too because I stopped a lot of shots, and then guys said, "Oh, yeah, I feel restricted when I skate and all that kind of stuff." I just learned how to do it. I was the fastest skater on the team. I tell guys like, if
Hmm.
you get hit, if we've cracked ankles all the time. You're out for 3 games. Like, I don't understand why you wouldn't do it. It didn't make any sense to me, but guys wouldn't do it, and I thought that the stupid that's not cool thing is more than anything. They're just making excuses, but I don't know. The
Hmm.
goalies wearing that to me is absolutely unessential. I don't understand for the life of me why it's not mandatory that goalies wear throat protectors because somebody's going to die. Like, eventually, over time,
Oh yeah,
eventually, somebody's going
eventually.
to catch one right in the throat, and that's going to be the end of it.
Hmm.
You know,
Using this
Irby had
card to run over
huge
his
goalie
goalie
pads.
pads.
That was another one too. He looked like he was a small goaltender, and his legs looked like they were about as wide as he is tall.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
remember him.
yeah. Holtby had his were pretty huge. Yeah,
Hmm. Goalies are really weird in general, anyways. They wear some weird
yeah.
equipment,
Anyways, I got to get Hedner. I'm going to leave
and
3 minutes early today because I got to pick up Caroline a little early today.
ooh,
So, all right. Thanks for coming in. You're coming in tomorrow too. Well,
yep, I
how
will.
can we
I
cut the?
am.
Oh, I'll talk to you afterwards, real quick. I want to talk about that too. That's the other thing. So don't
Hmm.
leave me here. Okay, everybody. This has been good times. I'll see you tomorrow again between 3 and 5. Have a good one, everybody. Okay, bye.